Happy sunrise if you happen to be in Nome, Alaska over the last 2 minutes or so. The sun is coming up there. They still do have sunrises in Nome and in the state of Alaska, which won't be true in a few weeks because the whole state, the sun is always up, even in the more southern parts. Maybe in Juneau, if you go in that weird sort of strip extending for quite a while southeast, the sun actually does rise and set when we get close to the solstice in June. But for now, there still is technically a sunrise in Nome, which is on the western part of Alaska, not quite on the Arctic. You know, it's, I guess, not clear what's the Pacific, what's the Arctic when you get to the bays, etc. out west, the straits. But if you go up north, there already is no sunrise in Barrow, which is clearly on the Arctic Ocean, Prudhoe Bay, etc. So look, I'm well rested again. I will try to get up and do these 6:30 sunrise reports, but I think we're at the point where it really doesn't matter that much. Yeah, I'd like to give you one from the beach, but if I'm just going to be in the shopping center, you know, out here where I am, I call it a studio, does it really matter what time I do it at? But I would like to get you some sunrises at least, because it's awfully beautiful over the Atlantic Ocean. And this time of year, I think there's less and less likelihood that it will be blocked by clouds if I do it over the Atlantic here in Ormond Beach, Florida, where I plan on staying for quite a while, especially as we try to build Shark Nation Radio, and I keep doing Backlash on that. Okay. Hope that wasn't too flippant, because the topic really is not very flippant right now. I will button it up a little bit, make fewer wise-ass comments, because I think it's important to get you information that you might not be getting through the mainstream media. And one issue like that is about the name Seth Rich. I hope you're familiar with that name by now. If not, take a few seconds to Google it. I am bringing you stories that came out overnight on Fox 5 in Washington, D.C. I think it's 5. It's the Fox affiliate there. And I found courtesy of the Gateway Pundit. And, yeah, the first, it's 2 articles. The second really says the same thing as the first one does now, because the first one was revised after the new information came out. What are they titled? Seth Rich, the links are up there. Seth Rich family detective tells Fox 5 D.C. there is evidence Seth was emailing Wikileaks. Updated with report. 2, flashback, Seth family detective Rod Wheeler on Seth Rich murder. This case may open up a can of worms. Of course, if I disappear, I don't think I'm big enough to, not even close, but I am not having any suicidal thoughts, just for the record. Though I do tend to go swimming in the ocean, so if I'm eaten by a shark, that might not be suspicious. There are a lot of sharks here, especially around sunrise, sunset times, but I should be doing this around sunrise, sunset, right? Okay, so let me read you what Jim Hoft has given us at the Gateway Pundit. On July 8th, 2016, 27-year-old Democratic staffer Seth Conrad Rich was murdered in Washington, D.C. It doesn't say it there. It was probably around 4 a.m. The killer or killers took nothing from their victim, leaving behind his wallet, watch, and phone. One would think that even if it's a hit, they would at least take the wallet, watch, and phone just to make it look like a robbery. I don't know. Shortly after the killing, Redditors and social media users were pursuing a, quote, lead saying that Rich was en route to the FBI the morning of his murder. Again, it's very important that you get this information. I'm only giving you basically what's already up at the Gateway Pundit, including the best of the comments, or the best of the comments I saw. But you can find this information for yourself. I hopefully just make it easy for you. I'm not claiming this is anything original. Rich was en route to the FBI the morning of his murder, apparently intending to speak to special agents about an ongoing court case possibly involving the Clinton family. Seth Rich's father, Joel, told reporters if it was a robbery, it failed because he still has his watch, he still has his money, he still has his credit cards, still had his phone, so it was a wasted effort, except we lost a life. Then there's a link to the video called Parents of Seth Rich Saddened by His Death. The article continues. The Metropolitan Police posted a reward for information on Rich's murder. Then there is another story, which basically says the same thing. No, it's the same story. Let me continue. I'm just sorry. My notes are a little confused here. Look, I'm far from perfect. I make a lot of mistakes, but I do the best I can. In August, Wikileaks offered a $20,000 reward for information on the murder of DNC staffer Seth Rich. Julian Assange also suggested in August that Seth Rich was a Wikileaks informant. And then there's a tweet from Mike Cernovich. Was Seth Rich, the source of DNC leaks, murdered? Well, and there's a video there. Of course he was murdered. It's just the issue of who murdered him. I don't think there's any doubt that he was murdered. I mean, I guess technically it wouldn't be murder if he decided at 4 a.m. he was going to murder someone else and he got killed because he was committing murder himself and out of self-defense. So then it would technically be a killing and not murder, but it was certainly homicide. And I think we can be 99.99% sure it was murder. But just not that well written there. Let me see what else. Why did I copy the same thing numerous times? Okay, then there's a tweet by Marina Morocco. I don't know who she is. Seth Rich's family hired former DC Police Department detective and tells Fox 5 DC Tonight there is evidence Rich was emailing with Wikileaks. So that's the breaking part. And then the Fox DC report, I'm going to read it to you, though the video is there. I'm just going to read it to you because maybe you won't bother going on to the video. Rod Wheeler, a private investigator hired by the Rich family, suggests there is tangible evidence on Rich's laptop that confirms he was communicating with WikiLeaks prior to his death. Now, questions have been raised on why DC police, the lead agency on this murder investigation for the past 10 months, have insisted this was a robbery gone bad when there appears to be no evidence to suggest that. Wheeler, a former DC police, I do have to ask the question, how does Seth Rich's father know if the laptop was taken by the FBI that there's evidence on there? Did Seth Rich tell his father what he was doing? I don't know. That's just a question that pretty immediately comes to mind. Wheeler, a former DC police homicide detective, is running a parallel investigation into Rich's murder. Wheeler said he believes there is a cover-up, and the police department has been told to back down from the investigation. Neither the police department nor the FBI have been forthcoming, said Wheeler. They haven't been cooperating at all. I believe that the answer to solving his death lies on that computer, which I believe is either at the police department or either at the FBI, or at the FBI. I've been told both. When we asked Wheeler if his sources have told him there is information that links Rich to WikiLeaks, he said, yeah, absolutely, yeah, that's confirmed. Wheeler also told us, this is Fox 5 talking. Wheeler also told us, I have a source inside the police department that has looked at me straight in the eye and said, Rod, we were told to stand down on this case, and I can't share any information with you. Now, that is highly unusual for a murder investigation, especially from a police department. Again, I don't think it comes from the chief's office, but I do believe there is a correlation between the mayor's office and the DNC, and that is the information that will come out Tuesday. I guess that's today. And there is another article that I gave you the link to, which is called Flashback, Seth Family Detective Rod Wheeler on Seth Rich Murder. This case may open up a can of worms. The information there really is repetitive now that the first article has been updated with the new information. I'm not going to get into that. Look at both if you want, if only for the purpose of reinforcing the facts and the name Seth Rich in there. Because you're not going to hear that from the mainstream media, which will pretend this is just another conspiracy theory about, as if all the things that have come true about the Clinton administration weren't once called about Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, the Clinton Foundation, as if they all aren't originally referred to as conspiracy theories. I mean, what can you expect from these people? What can you not expect from these people? So let's go to the comments section. Usually great. I've selected some of them. That's where I think I really add the value here. Of course, I could just post the links to the article, not that you necessarily watch them. You know, some of you may be walking your dog, driving, whatever, or you just like hearing my voice, or you like making fun of me. I don't know. But let's get to the comments section, because who goes through hundreds of comments, really? I selected a few I think are worthwhile. Here is comments to the first story. When was the last time a swamp creature, that refers to Clintons, the Democrats, etc., obviously, when was the last time a swamp creature was tried and convicted in a federal court? Not a citizen like Dinesh D'Souza, but a swamp creature. A response to that: drain the swamp equals justice for all, and that's in all sincerity there. Response to that: the assassinations of key figures who would have hurt the Democratic Party badly abound. Maybe with Seth, we'll start to reveal this sinister side of the prior regime. And in response to that, the biggest, fattest, ugliest, and scariest swamp creature is the hag Hillary. Well, don't rule out Bill and Barack Obama, too. We need Captain Nemo and a harpoon to capture this monster and drag it to court and then prison where she belongs. Wait, isn't Nemo a Jules Verne character, and the whole harpooning of the whale is Moby Dick by by Herman Melville. I think we're getting them confused. Wait, who's the character? Ahab in Moby Dick? I can't, I never actually read it. I read the Cliff Notes for it. But I think that person's getting the characters confused. Another comment. What we really need is to try one for treason, convict it, then publicly hang it. Force all the media to cover it. I'd say start with Hillary. I'm not going to get on camera and talk about the merits of public hangings of the most corrupt individuals in this country's history who probably have a lot of murders under their belt. I'm just not going to go there, but you can imagine what I think. The law is for the little people, not those that get driven around for 30 years at taxpayers' expense. By the way, make sure and watch Limp D. You can figure out what the D stands for. Chaffetz on Fox News. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Jason Chaffetz. Yeah, there's some weird stuff in look at his Wikipedia biography. There's some stuff that'll stand out. He's not actually Jewish by birth. His father's Jewish. That's not even what I'm talking about. Just read his Wikipedia biography and a little bit more about his father. Another comment. There never will be a conviction because the people don't demand it. They accept it, so they get what they deserve. And the next comment that I have is an example of that. Former Speaker of the House, Dennis Hastert, even after a lifetime of having sex with little boys, only received 15 months in prison. So to your point, they do get convicted, but it's a slap on the wrist. Nothing like what would happen if he weren't part of the DC Swampers. Another comment. This is related to the quote, saying that Rich was en route to the FBI the morning of his murder, apparently intending to speak to special agents about an ongoing court case possibly involving the Clinton family. Here's the comment. Comey never bothered to put Hillary under oath and gave immunity agreements to her minions. So Comey is either a deep state apparatchik or a nincompoop. Take your pick, because either way, the FBI wasn't interested and the United States and the rule of law are diminished. And just keep in mind, why are they so opposed to Trump, an outsider? Just always be thinking about that. Why are they throwing anything they possibly can at him? Just keep that in mind as you think about stories like this. But the response to the last comment, Comey probably ordered the hit on Seth. I sure hope people on the inside start talking once they realize they're safe from the Arkansas gang, that obviously being the Clintons. And, well, who knows if they can feel safe yet. Our president and his new administration are not dealing with politicians. They're dealing with the Washington Mafia. God protect President Trump and America. And another comment there. Podesta's email saying the leaker will be made an example of shortly before Seth's murder. Coincidence? I think not. Now some comments for the second article, which I didn't actually read to you. It has pretty much the same information as the first one. We the people know Seth was Arkansided by Hillary's left-wing mafia because he had evidence to prove their corruption. So now it's time for our new law and order administration. I don't know if that's said sarcastically, but Trump definitely used the phrase law and order a lot. Our new law and order administration to dig up the evidence, expose and prosecute all these anti-American traitors and lock them up in Obama's Gitmo presidential library forever. Another, it's incredibly sad that this young man was murdered. Such a nice-looking guy with his whole life ahead of him, and someone just kills him and takes him from his family. I can't even imagine the pain they are in. I sincerely pray that whoever did this and all who were involved will pay dearly for it. Yeah, obviously there is a human side to all of this as well. Another comment, thank you so much. This is to Jim Hoft and the Gateway Pundit. Thank you so much for bringing this story back to the forefront. There is no question in my mind. The left mainstream media hysteria against the president is so intense over continuously fake and hyperbolic stories that it must be an attempt to distract from something much more profound that they are afraid about. Look how much coverage that BS story in the Washington Post less than 24 hours ago is receiving. You think they're going to cover this? Another comment. The motive to kill him. Rich was en route to the FBI the morning of his murder. Ought to be plenty to start with if you were a detective, no? Just connect a few dots, see what happened to the assassinated medical examiner, and after him, the death of the same autopsy morgue worker. There are plenty such dots, like the meeting between Lynch and Sly Billy on the tarmac. Response to that, I had forgotten about the deaths of the medical examiner and the morgue worker. It seems wherever the Clintons go, dead bodies are left behind. By the way, I personally am a little fuzzy on the details of the deaths of the medical examiner and the morgue worker. Not that I didn't know them at some point, for a little while at least, but it all gets confusing after a while. That doesn't mean it's not true. I think part of the motive is to overwhelm us so we just can't keep up with all of this. And the response to the previous comment, if I am going to the FBI, it will not be at 4 a.m. If the FBI wants to talk to me, I would not go without a lawyer and a bodyguard. and I bet everyone here agrees. I think the person who offed Rich was walking with him and knew him personally. It caught him off guard and dead. Run a complete check on all Rich's friends, and hopefully they fingerprinted the apartment. No person has any business talking with the FBI without tons of assurances. None. A response to that, they, meaning the FBI, stopped the investigation. The murder of a top-level DNC staffer during an election, and the police stopped the investigation, claimed no more evidence. They never stop investigations into murders. No longer responses. I don't know why I left that in there or what it refers to. But I did hear a story that he was coming back from his girlfriend's house or something like that. I don't remember. It's only occurring to me now. Who leaves their girlfriend's house at 4 a.m. on a Sunday morning? I don't know. I mean, if you're going to get in a fight with your girlfriend, it's probably not at 4 a.m. unless it's a really long fight. I just don't know. Another comment. I hope this leads to some convictions. It was not only Seth's death, but the suspicious deaths of Sean Lucas, Victor Thorne, Joe Montano, and John Ash with an E on the end. I am also skeptical about Justice Scalia's death, too. There are some strange Podesta emails that seem like coded information about a hit on Scalia. I want so much for this murderous gang in D.C. to be held accountable and pay for their crimes. No more cover-up now that Comey is gone. No one is above the law. And then just a little bit more, one last comment. Per the reports, the PI believes there is a laptop, the private investigator believes there is a laptop that contains proof of Seth's involvement in Wikileaks. But it's in the hands of law enforcement, either DC cops or the FBI. That's what I mentioned before, which is why I raised the question. Not that I'm casting doubt on him. How did the father even know? That laptop should be sitting on Jeff Sessions' desk with a copy of the drive in an undisclosed location. We've all seen how evidence like that disappears when the Clintons are involved. And as I mentioned in the last few previous reports, Midday or Sunset, yeah, I got in the habit of saying thanks for watching, but I am just going to leave you with I don't like cute endings to videos.